So I got a simple truth about sales that's going to completely blow your mind. It's going to change the way you look at sales. And I've been fortunate enough to kind of see this simple fact and actually analyze it, because over the last couple of days, I've had a chance to sit with not only veterans, but also intermediate and brand newbies coming into industry. And what's so funny is that I love the energy of the newbies. I love the energy of the new generation. Do you know why? Because typically when you are around a veteran or when you're around someone a little bit more seasoned, they're kind of tarnished. And so their energy is a little bit different, right? They're not exactly vibing like if they're intermediate or if they're one of the newbies, because they kind of already been there. You know what I mean? It's like driving. Remember when you just first started driving, you wanted to go everywhere, bro. You're down to drive anywhere. Like, oh, you need eggs? I'm gonna go get it. And you just wanted to drive. But now that you're an adult, driving isn't as cool anymore, right? Like, man, I hate driving. I don't want to drive. I want to sit in traffic. But when you were young and driving was brand new to you, man, you'd sit in all hours of traffic. Isn't that right? And so it's kind of like that. And so anyway, in this video, I'm going to discuss a simple truth that regardless if you're seasoned, if you're intermediate, if you're a beginner, if you're a newbie, if you don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about, I'm going to share this one simple fun fact truth about sales that will blow your mind. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sales Remastered. My name is Daniel and I'm your host. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about a simple truth that is going to blow your mind about sales. And my goal within this video is to share this single truth about it, and it actually helps you. It helps you understand how this cycle works, how this system works. And sales is everywhere, right? Like, no business would be even open if it wasn't for sales. Think about that, because you happen to be part of the most important department inside the entire world, or I should say economy, because without us and without our capabilities, or without people who are good at sales, businesses would fail, businesses would collapse, right? And I think well, I also believe that you have to evolve, because you could be a good salesman at one point, but if you don't evolve with time, and if you don't modernize your techniques and kind of, grow as time goes on, you're going to collapse also. Because if you look at older companies that no longer around, like Blockbuster, right? Blockbuster, I'm sure at some point could have sold. But they didn't evolve. So they had the product, which was entertainment. Like, who doesn't buy entertainment? But because they didn't evolve, they could not sell. Does that make sense? So without the sales, without the evolution and adaptation of technology, they could not withstand and survive. And so they collapsed because of Netflix. Anyway, I'm pretty sure a lot of you don't like Blockbuster. What the fuck is Blockbuster, you young motherfuckers? So I'm pretty old, and along my journey, I've actually witnessed this one single truth about sales that's going to change the way you look at it. And again, I hope you open up your eyes and see it for what it is, because this one single truth is there will always be two sides of the way the value is perceived. There's always going to be your side, and there's always going to be the prospect side. And here's the funny thing, is that if you understand this truth, you're going to understand which side you have to be more about, you have to favor most, and you have to be worried about. And what I've noticed is that there's a fine line between this, because again, going back to when I had a chance to actually sit with the newer generation, the intermediates, I noticed one thing, and it was that they were focused on the prospect side, right? They were all about them. They wanted to make sure they brought value, which is a great thing, because in my generation, it was the wild, wild west. No one cared about, the end consumer. Everyone just cared about making points on the back end. They cared about rebate, YSP. You guys remember what YSP? Stop lying. And you just want to look for the loan amounts. You want to look for the cash cows, because there was no real rules. And anyway, so now fast forward to today, it's a little bit different, but there's also this fine line where it's also evolved, because the newer generation is concerned about the other side, which is the prospect side, but they're so concerned that it actually stops them, because they want to not mess up. They want to be perfect, right? And they want to deliver everything so fine that it's a lay down. But what happens, right, when you're newer into an industry or when you're brand new at doing something, is that you tend to overthink these things. And so you're worried about the perception from the prospect, so much so that you are clouded. In other words, your vision only hones in and focuses on the what if they don't. Like, what if they don't like it? What if they don't buy today? What if they don't answer their phone? What if they don't like me? What if they don't understand me? Does that make sense? So, man, it was interesting to discover this one truth, because this is where sales makes itself, right? Sales actually will produce itself if you understand this one thing. And this one thing, my friend, is the way it's being perceived. And if you can understand how to change the perception, and today's live stream, I'm actually doing a Breakfast of Champions, which is today's Thursday. You're probably going to catch this one after the live stream, so I'll try and remember to leave a link below this video. But the subject of today's Breakfast of Champions is going to be value stacking. And why is this important? Is because it's all about helping mold the perception of your product, of your service, of your value, of your your benefits. Because let me use an example. So in today's time right now, like today is February 7th, 2019, and so at this current time we have like this small window where we could do FHA streamlines again. And if you're not too familiar with FHA streamlines is like no appraisal, no documents. It's a very fast sequence, right? And so, but one of the challenges that I've noticed when selling that type of product or service is that the savings is so small. It's like from payment to payment, it's like $30, $40, like sometimes even smaller than that. And so even though it's only like 30, $45, and even though it lowers the interest rate by half a point, it's almost difficult at times to convince a homeowner that you should do this. Why not do it? Like, fuck, it's $30. If you don't want the $30, don't use it. But again, we find ourselves at a challenge where we have to kind of connive them, like almost like force the issue. When if we just kept it simple and we just insisted like this is on its way anyway, I think we'll actually change the perception of them seeing it as a sale. But then again, it comes back to the perception. So like I said, there is a fun fact about sales. This one single fact is going to change the way you look at it, and it's understanding that there are two sides of looking at this service or your value or your benefit or your savings or your right. There's their side and there's your side. What you have to do is avoid judging it based on your side. So in other words, $30 to you may not be much, but to Jim out in Podunk, Idaho, it could be a lot of money, right? But also, besides that, don't anchor yourself in thinking like, oh, they won't buy this because it's only a $30 savings. Anyway, inside the Breakfast of Champions, I'm going to show you this thing called value stacking. Value stacking helped me sell hundreds of FHA streamlines. And it's odd because it was seamless, and these are the day and ages when we were clocking like 20 plus units like in a month, right? So how did we get there? How were we able to close this many units? Is because you created this system where it was just clockwork, where other agents had the same exact product, right? The basically the Blockbuster LOs. And in case again, if you forgot what Blockbuster was that building with the video cassettes, bro, the DVDs. People are like, what the fuck is a DVD? Anyway, it's before streaming. And so the Blockbuster LOs, they didn't evolve, they didn't adapt, and so they kind of looked at it as just like selling a regular refinance or regular purchase loan. Like they had to convince that person. And so because their perspective and their perception was kind of molded in that way, their message came out different. Is because they were selling it based on their perception. They didn't really look at and consider the prospect's perception and how they would view it. They did, but they only looked at the bad side. And so this is where the newbies and like the newer generation mostly kind of sway, is even though they're enthusiastic and even though they look forward to being the best loan officer in the world, they're still kind of snagged because they're worried. They're worried about the negative sides. Whereas if we just understood that single fact that there are two sides of the story, there are two ways to look at it, and we know that our job is to mold the way our prospect looks at it, then we can get creative, can't we? Then we can understand, okay, well, if they're going to look at it as like only a $30 savings, what is something that I could build anxiety about? I could build urgency about? What can I build excitement about, right? And so then you start crafting your message in a way, and you don't necessarily focus on a $30 savings. Instead, you focus on the ripple effects. And what I mean by ripple effects, boo-boo, is that when you do what's called a value stack is basically a chain reaction of the event. So because you took the initiative to initiate this $30 savings, it's going to defer your payment, give you a refund, create some cash flow, put you one step closer to removing mortgage insurance, put you one step closer to getting into a conventional loan before the rates go up any higher, lower your monthly payment so you can apply more towards your monthly savings, remove some of that monthly deficit, improve your monthly FICO. Does that make sense? So it's the ripple effect. And of course, to everyone, it's going to be a little bit different. And this actually helps magically with prospects who have lower savings. And it dawned on me. I was like, man, this is probably why there are a lot of purchase agents right now that pay no minds to refinance, which is cool for us, because guess what, boo-boo? If you know how to do refi, if you have the capability of doing refi, if you are open-minded to doing refi, then there's more business for us. Everyone jumped ship and went purchase because they think that, oh, that's the new trend. Man, there will always be refinances in this game. Do you understand? Refinances is just a common thing. That shit ain't gonna change. People are gonna refinance every 16 to 18 months. That's just how it is. And you might be like, but D, no one's gonna go from a 3.625 to a 4.5 or 5.25. Yeah, they will, boo-boo. You know why? Because you don't sell the motherfucking rate. You don't sell the interest. What you sell is the value stack, my friend. The ripple fucking effect. It's what happens from the transaction and initiation. It is about building the end goal, not looking at it from their perception, right? Not looking at it from your perspective. And too often times, I think we look at it from our perspective. We judge that shit like it's our motherfucking decision. It's their decision, boo-boo. It's their motherfucking house. It's their fucking financial plan. All you gotta do is serve them motherfucking value. Make sense? I hope this resonates, man, and I hope you use these fun facts to help you look at your game in a different way. Join me, or if not, well, you're probably gonna watch this after Breakfast of Champions. So click the link below, watch the Breakfast of Champions. It's gonna teach you about the value stack, and make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell, man. You guys might be asking like, yo, D, man, why you always take like 10, 20 minutes every morning to make these videos? Why? Is because it helps people. Why? Is because it leaves all kinds of different reviews, and I get to see it and be like, man, D, I don't get this resource around where I'm at. I don't get to be, trained, and I don't have the guidance or the mentoring around me. Thank you so much. That's why. Is because when you give to others that you wish you had when you came up, it's just good karma, boo-boo. And more importantly, it's helping me create a brand that I'm going to own. And if you could take a page from this motherfucking book, you should create a brand too. What the fuck are you doing to serve value? Who the hell are you helping today? Are you helping your fucking pockets, or are you helping these families get to the next motherfucking level? Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell so that you're notified. If you are catching this on Facebook, be sure you hit the profile name and go to the main page, hit the thumbs up so you add me on your feed, and don't forget to check out the motherfucking plug. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, wherever you're at. More than likely I'm there. Just search hashtag Sales Remastered, boo-boo, and I'll find you. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Now I'm up, get my whole squad up. We ain't never gonna give up. Rich as fuck, I could never hear. Diamonds in my ear, say this clear. I could never feel. This gonna be my year.